South Africa's parliament descended into fiery exchanges this week after Julius Malema, the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, launched a blistering attack on President Cyril Ramaphosa. In one of the most charged confrontations of the year, Malema accused Ramaphosa of betraying black South Africans and bending to the interests of white monopoly capital, reigniting the raw debate over race, class, and power in the post-apartheid nation. The session, initially meant to focus on economic recovery and government performance, quickly transformed into a battle over the soul of South Africa's democracy. Malema, known for his bold rhetoric and confrontational style, rose to speak and wasted no time in directly accusing Ramaphosa of siding with the country's elite at the expense of the poor majority. "Mr. President," Malema declared, his voice cutting through the chamber, "you have abandoned the very people who placed you in power. You speak of renewal and growth, yet every decision you take protects white monopoly capital, not the millions of black South Africans still trapped in poverty and joblessness." The statement ignited chaos in the House. ANC MPs rose in anger, jeering and shouting back at Malema, while EFF MPs pounded their desks in support of their leader. Speaker of Parliament Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nkokula struggled to maintain order as the chamber erupted into shouting matches, forcing her to repeatedly call for calm. At the heart of Malema's accusation lies a deep-rooted frustration shared by many South Africans. Despite the fall of apartheid more than 3 decades ago, economic inequality remains sharply defined along racial lines. Wealth and land ownership are still disproportionately concentrated in white hands, while black communities bear the brunt of poverty, unemployment, and inadequate services. Malema seized on this stark reality to sharpen his attack. He accused Ramaphosa of being a puppet of big business, citing the president's history as a wealthy businessman and his ties to corporate South Africa. "You are not the president of the poor," Malema thundered. "You are the president of the Stellenbosch mafia. You sit at the table with billionaires while millions of our people cannot put bread on the table." The mention of Stellenbosch, a symbolic reference to white-dominated corporate and agricultural power, drew roars from both sides of the House. For the EFF and its supporters, Stellenbosch represents the entrenched networks of wealth that have survived untouched since 1994, networks they believe the ANC has failed to dismantle. Ramaphosa, visibly irritated, eventually rose to defend himself. He rejected Malema's claims as reckless and dangerous rhetoric designed to divide the country. The president insisted that his government is committed to inclusive economic growth, land reform, and addressing historic injustices. "I will not allow this House or this country to be misled by populist slogans," he retorted, accusing Malema of exploiting the pain of the poor for political gain. But Malema was undeterred. He pointed to persistent unemployment rates among black youth, the slow pace of land redistribution, and the widening gap between rich and poor. "Don't speak of slogans when our people are dying of hunger," he shot back. "You have chosen to protect the economy of the few rather than liberate the many. History will remember you as the president who sold out the revolution." Observers note that the exchange highlights a growing fracture in South African politics. The EFF's rhetoric resonates with younger generations who feel excluded from the economic gains of democracy. Their anger is not only about poverty, but about the sense that political freedom has not translated into material empowerment. For the ANC, the accusations strike at a sensitive nerve. While Ramaphosa promotes himself as a reformer, his party is under pressure for failing to break the structural legacies of apartheid. With elections looming, the battle over who truly represents the interests of the people is becoming sharper and more polarized. Parliament's eruption was more than just political theater, it was a mirror of South Africa's ongoing struggle with its unfinished transformation. Malema's fiery words and Ramaphosa's defensive stance exposed the raw class and race tensions that continue to define the country. The exchange left many asking, has South Africa's liberation movement lost sight of its original promise, or is the challenge of undoing centuries of inequality simply greater than one government or one president can manage? As the dust settled in Parliament, one truth was clear. The battle lines over race, class, and economic justice in South Africa are not fading, they are hardening. And as Malema made clear in his closing remarks, the fight is far from over.